I don't remember the first hit. I only remember the cold. The kind that crawls into your bones and tells you this is where it ends. The kind that convinces you that the people you loved were never really yours to love in the first place. My family decided that night was the last time I would see the sky. My mother, Eleanor Hayes, wouldn't even look at me as she signed the papers they forged. My father, Charles Hayes, kept glancing at his watch like killing his eldest child was just another meeting. And my brother, Ryan Hayes, stood beside them with the satisfaction of a man who believed he had finally won something he'd been chasing his entire life. Their plan was simple. Make me disappear. Claim I overdosed. Split the inheritance 3 ways, and move on like I was a chapter they never remembered writing. But the universe must have hated them more than I did, because I woke up. At first it didn't feel real. The darkness was so thick it'd weight. My fingers brushed velvet. The air tasted like dust and metal. Every breath was harder than the last. When I pushed my hands upward, they met smooth wood. I didn't scream. You only scream when help can hear you. I saved my breath for the fight. It took every muscle in my body to break my coffin open. Dirt collapsed onto me in a rush, but desperation makes a person stronger than physics says they should be. When my fingers clawed through the last layer and night air hit my skin, I realized 2 things. 1, my family had buried me alive to protect their greed. 2, I was going to destroy every last one of them. I walked for miles, barefoot, bruised, bleeding, half dead. I didn't knock when I reached the door of the only person who'd believe any of this. That person was my childhood best friend, Jordan Blake, someone who never stopped telling me my family was poison. He didn't ask permission to hug me. He just held me like he'd been waiting for me to come back from war. When I told him what happened, he didn't question it. He just said, "Then we end them." We didn't go to the police. Corruption ran too deep in my family. They had money, lawyers, connections. They built their lives on the illusion of success, with the city eating out of their hands. Going against them, the legal way would only bury me again, this time for good. So I started with the thing they valued most, reputation. My brother Ryan always wanted to be a tech mogul. He talked about innovation but stole every idea he ever pitched. I still had the files, screenshots, designs, everything he'd taken from interns, freelancers, even me. I leaked all of it anonymously. Suddenly, his investors were pulling out of his startup like rats fleeing a burning building. His smug face disappeared from interviews, and the board quietly moved him out the back door. My father, Charles, had a habit of cooking his financial records. Not badly, just enough to make sure his retirement looked prettier than the law allowed. Too bad I had access to the offshore accounts he thought I never noticed. One anonymous packet to the right journalist was enough to turn him into a headline that screamed fraud. His business partners dropped him faster than he dropped me into that grave. My mother, Eleanor, was trickier. She lived on charity boards and public sympathy. She was the saint of the family, the woman who hosted charity galas while destroying her children in private. Exposing her meant revealing things I'd tried for years to forget, her threats, her manipulation, the way she told me the world would be better if I just disappeared. But this time I didn't flinch. We released recordings, texts, voicemails, donations she rerouted to her personal accounts, photos of her with men who weren't my father. In 48 hours, the city's beloved philanthropist became a walking scandal. The downfall was only the beginning. One night, months later, I walked into the mansion they once made me believe I was lucky to live in. They were all there, broken versions of the titans they used to be. No lawyers, no supporters, no cameras, just the 3 people who had tried to erase me. My footsteps echoed through the marble hallway, the same hallway where my mother once told me my existence was a burden. The same floor my father's shoes once clicked across as he ignored every cry for help. The same walls that listened every time Ryan told me I'd never amount to anything without them. They froze when they saw me. Eleanor's hand flew to her mouth. Charles stepped backward like I was a ghost. Ryan's face lost all its color. They thought they'd buried me. They thought they were looking at a corpse. I sat across from them at the dining table, taking my time, pouring myself a drink, adjusting the chair, watching their fear settle like dust. "You buried me alive," I said. No one argued. No one lied. Not this time. I slid envelopes across the table, 3 separate documents, 3 separate coffins. Elinor's charity empire, transferred to a national investigative body. Charles's accounts, emptied to pay restitution for decades of fraud. Ryan's company, sold for pennies to the very intern he once humiliated. Their eyes filled with panic as they flipped through the pages. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I just said the truth. "You took my life. I'm taking everything else." They signed because they had no choice, because they knew the world no longer feared them, because the person they'd tried to kill had learned something powerful on the night he rose from the dirt. When you come back from the dead, nothing scares you anymore. When I walked out of that house, I didn't look back. Behind me, the empire they built was collapsing, coffin by coffin. Ahead of me, the sky was wide open, just like the night I clawed my way out of the grave. But the difference now was simple. This time, I wasn't the one being buried. I was the one closing the coffins,